Today, the GSMA have released a report on critical communications using low latency systems that have been brought together by the operators, handset vendors, and manufacturers like Huawei to actually use eMBMS to deliver critical communications to the red and blue light services in any of the situations that they might have. It can be delivered today because the LTE now covers over 60% of the world's population, and that coverage is reliable. And we'll also see when 5G evolves and we have faster and more lower latency networks, we will see the adoption of critical communications being pretty much scaled to as far as it can get. I think for us, every service should be interoperable. And the value we actually bring from the GSMA is to ensure that there are specifications and guidelines that handset manufacturers and manufacturers themselves can build services that operators can provide to customers. The reason for doing this is to keep the cost down. Keep the cost down, it will scale. If we get to scale, we reach more people, and therefore the service will become ubiquitous and the customer experience will improve.
Based on the survey and expectation from the industry, we could see until 2020, 8 billion that kind of revenue for mobile operator can achieve from MCPTT. So it's very promising. And the purpose is not just for public safety and also mining, petrol. So it could be extending to more and more industry areas. So I think it has been very promising, has been talked for several years, but right now it's the right time to use particularly the 4G LTE network to bear this kind of service. It's very much promising. To achieve success of this MCPTT, the effort should not just from vendor, from infrastructure point of view to provide those kind of technologies. We also need to work together with the industry. For example, we need a support from the terminal. We need some kind of special terminal for different kind of industry. We also need a different industry understand, realize the value of using it. So that's also very important. On the other hand, we also need that kind of unified standard to support different party, different manufacturer could join this kind of game to share the benefits. So I think by doing that kind of white paper, the purpose we could be achieving to basically make sure the whole industry understand there's value there. So we all make efforts into it.
The simple business driver is EE's always gone out and said our strategy is to run the best network in the country, and you can't run the best network in the country and then not run the emergency service network. The emergency service network will bring with it a level of reliability and availability that will benefit all our commercial users.
Lanes is the LTE advanced network for emergency and enterprise services, and essentially what it is, it's a network's designed for either enterprises or emergency services to be given mission critical access to data flows using either quality of service over an existing shared spectrum or even a dedicated piece of spectrum. So by doing that, we can maintain the necessary level of quality of service. So mission critical push to talk goes with lanes. Lanes gives us the data flow for data applications and services, but there is a real challenge, particularly for emergency services, that rely on push to talk services, the traditional two-way radio. If a lot of them are in the same cell, and we use the traditional way of sending data to every phone individually, we can overload the cell capacity. So mission critical push to talk relies on a new technology known as LTE broadcast or eMBMS, and that allows us to send the same stream of data to every mobile in the cell. So we can virtually have infinite numbers of users under the cell. They can get their voice as mission critical by using that technology, and by using our quality of service and lanes technology, we can give them the data streams they need to do their job. Well, we're certainly going to continue to expand the lane service by adding mission critical push to talk, and indeed just a couple of weeks ago we made the world's first mission critical push to talk over LTE broadcast test call. Now obviously we've got to build on that, and we've got to build the suite of solutions for emergency services.
The GSMA has had a disaster response program since 2012, and it was created in recognition of the critical role that mobile operators and the mobile industry can play when natural disasters or other humanitarian crises are impacting subscribers in countries around the world. And it really focuses on trying to enhance coordination, cooperation, and a more predictable and prepared response by our industry. Our aims are to help link mobile operators with the vendor community and with humanitarian organizations and government agencies before disaster strikes to make sure that mobile can be a lifeline for those when they most need it. So we've seen lots of great examples around the world of mobile operators leveraging broadcast technology to offer early warning systems. In Japan, they have the earthquake and tsunami early warning system. In Sri Lanka, they've developed the disaster early warning network. And in the United States, they have their CMAT technology that they can use to alert subscribers in particular areas about threats, emergencies, and other public alerting. And we see this as a really key tool in the operator's toolkit of ways that they can support informing their subscribers about emergencies and hazards, but it really needs to be done in partnership with local authorities, with the vendor community, and with the wider humanitarian community to make sure that the impact is maximum.
Critical communications is a set of technologies that are replacing standards that existed for land mobile communication, public mobile radio communication. And these are at the application level primarily, but they rely on a set of 3GPP basic technologies. The first release was for mission critical push to talk. In this release, we're adding mission critical video and mission critical data, which are a whole suite of different functions. There are a number of areas that broadcasting companies and broadcasting consortia, both public and private, have seen that the technology that 3GPP, the industry provided, the mobile industry, was not sufficient for their needs, in that the coverage was too restricted, it couldn't be shared between operators, it was too difficult to interface between the broadcaster and the mobile network operator, for example. In each of these areas, the 3GPP standard in Release 14 will offer solutions